host, Sana, and today we are diving into the mystical, often misunderstood world of the Akashic Records with someone who's walked the path of deep transformation. Now, let me ask you this: what if the restlessness, that unsettling feeling within yourself that you feel, isn't a flaw to fix, but it is a signal from the soul? What if the answers you are seeking aren't out there in the world, but they are encoded in the vast library of your own energy? Interesting questions, right, listeners? So, to help us answer these, we have Kay Miller. And let me introduce Kay to all of you listeners. She has spent 14 years teaching in high school classrooms before choosing to answer a call that couldn't be ignored, the call to peace, purpose, and truth. What she found wasn't just a new direction, but an entirely new dimension of healing, one where Akashic record wisdom and rapid reprogramming help unlock the soul's deeper mission. So, whether you are spiritually curious like me or deeply entrenched in your own healing journey, this conversation invites you to look at purpose, not as something to chase, but something to remember. So let's begin and see what your soul might be trying to say. So, Kate, welcome to the show, and I'm really, really honored to have you here with us.
Thank you so much, Sana. It's so wonderful to be here. Thank you.
Absolutely. And um, okay, I have, this separate admiration, respect for all the teachers out there. So I'm really, really happy that I've got the opportunity to host you. So how exactly, I mean, you have spent 14 years in high school teaching, and now you are, helping people to actually understand what their purpose could be, to understand, explore themselves inside out. How these two worlds are connected. I mean, what was the transformation look like?
Such a great question. So, yeah, well, I had my first spiritual awakening around probably about a year before I left teaching. Um, Hit rock bottom and just, I was working three jobs. I had a 3-year-old at the time, and I couldn't go on living like that anymore. Just, um, not being home with my family, and then when I was home, I was not present, as you can imagine. I think that that is the way, all of us are kind of trained, to live our lives in a way, just go, keep going, keep going, keep going, and not tuning into what those nudges, those feelings are feeling. So after the awakening, my entire life expanded, opened up. My teaching became easier. My relationships were more connected. My life had more peace and more purpose. And it was amazing. And that was when I really felt that nudge to the point of tears frequently.
Okay.
That it was time. It was time to leave the classroom. It was time to close, as I know now, close that chapter of the book and move on to the next. And I do think it is essentially a side of teaching as well. You know what I do now. I'm not teaching how to use the records just yet, but I do see myself getting to that point in the future. Um, and yeah, it's just it's almost like mastering one version, and then it was time to move on to the next.
Absolutely. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And what a transition, Kay.
Mm.
Um, uh, I mean, so many of us, we hit this point where the achievements, external achievements, they start to feel hollow. Maybe initially we'll have second thoughts. We'll be having that fear or anxiety that, from a point of stability, we are getting into something which we have had never explored. So, Kay, when you moved into the world of understanding Akashic records and understanding, what exactly, how exactly our souls are, uh, the world of them. Was it something like, did you feel grief or sadness, or it was like freedom for you that finally I'm able to balance everything or harmonize everything, and I'm happy with this.
Let's see. So interestingly enough, there's actually been, um, this is being in the Akashic Records, the work in the Akashic Records has been
Mhm.
a huge journey of self-trust. So,
Mm.
not necessarily grief. I would say that there is eh, a sense of freedom, and certainly when I moved from teaching into coaching, my coaching profession has actually evolved with my spiritual, evolution, and so I started out as a health coach, and then it was mindset for women and teaching meditation and those kinda things, and then, finding the Akashic Records, I had no idea really even what they were, but
Mm.
just listening to that same voice of my heart, the voice of the soul that said, it's time to stop teaching and time to move on to something else." Listening to that voice again that said, "This is your next step." And so I embarked on, um, a certification without really even knowing what I was doing, and so since then, that was about a year and a half ago, since then, it has been a walk of learning to trust my own intuition more, and to trust myself and to trust that, um, that I am accepted no matter
Good.
what. Yeah, that's been a huge thing.
Yes, I can relate with that. I can connect with that.
Mhm.
And okay, you know, uh, I have had so many conversations around Akashic records. This is something I learned while doing podcasting, and it's such a I mean, I've such a huge amount of gratitude that I am able to get this opportunity. Not sure whether I have completely, fully um, been aware of what exactly is my soul's purpose,
Mhm.
but in this journey of podcasting, I have had the opportunity to understand that yes, there is a higher selves within us. There is our souls. They are energies. They are going through multiple timelines, places, universes, experiences. I mean, there will be skepticism around it, but uh, it's something that it's my own belief, and it's if it's giving me that motivation and positivity, then why not go with that? So for all the listeners out there, Kay, I would request if you can throw some light on what exactly are Akashic records and why do you think they are so important in understanding our soul's purpose?
Okay. So first of all, if you have ever um, heard of the Book of Life, in numerous religious traditions, we hear of the Book of Life.
Mhm,
In the tradition that I grew up in, Episcopalian,
mhm,
I grew up hearing the story of when you die and you go to heaven's gates and you're met with St. Peter, and
mhm,
there is a scroll of your life, of all of your deeds, what you did and what you didn't do, and that scroll says whether or not you get into heaven. Okay.
mhm,
So what I have learned in my work in the records, and this so it's really just come 360 for me, because now I see that story for what it is. Our book of life is the Akashic Records. It is the energetic library that holds, and of course, this is the big definition, the energetic library that holds all of our thoughts, emotions, events, anything over time, over lifetimes. There is an Akashic field for the earth herself. There is an Akashic field for plants. All of these things. When you go into the records, it is very important that you are very structured, and you know exactly what you're there for. So we don't want to just enter into what is there for me to learn today because it's just so incredibly vast. So in my work, what I do is I access the records of a client to
Mhm.
find out, what that soul purpose is. What is it that that person is here in order to actualize and create in this lifetime so that they can progress up the ladder to ascension? So many of us here now, so many of us listening to your podcast, Anya, are they are interested in ascension. What is the ascension process and how can I get there? This is it. Your soul came here for a purpose. This is different than when we feel work that we do is purposeful. This is different. I've seen it in clients from everything from planting seeds of light in others and in the earth to being a source of light, kind of like a lighthouse, to providing joy. And there are more than that, but those are the ones that come to the top of my mind. So, as you can see, it is very broad, and I also connect and not just with the records, but also with the clients' spiritual guides. And the guides are there to give us advice and to help the client take steps to move forward in actualizing this purpose. And what we discover is that, the purpose itself can be broad when we hone in on certain lessons that the
Mhm.
soul has signed up to learn. That's when we can get into what is holding them back from learning those lessons, what is holding them back from being able to live in their truth and in that soul's purpose every day, moment to moment, because we are also human. And
Yeah.
it's, yeah. And also we're humans living in a very, I don't want to use the term, I don't want to say difficult time period, in a very turbulent time period. And the message that I've got, I do like to tune in to the records for collective guidance. And the message that I've got is that we came here knowing that each and every person on the planet right now, your soul came to Earth knowing what we were getting into, and we're here to do something about it. And some of us are awake and we want to walk that path. We want to do something about it. And others won't. And it will, that's their soul's choice. And they will move up their ladder in their own way, in their own time when that lifetime presents itself. And it's important, especially as we have, really significant relationships in our lives, and we might feel very displaced from the people that we love. And it's important to remember that everybody's path is their own, and it's important to walk yours.
Mm, that's beautifully so simple yet so beautifully put up. Kay. I, I, I I think this definitely gives a much more detailed and a different perspective, a different look at Akashic records.
Mm.
Um, I also want to know, Kay, that um, although we may not know how to um, unlock our Akashic records on our own, but there's definitely an inner voice, an inner self within us. Do you think, sometimes we kind of get into a dilemma that should we listen to our inner voice or should we listen to someone who is trying to guide us? It really becomes a huge dilemma. And personally, with your own journey as well, when you listen to your inner voice, what do you suggest? I mean, should we trust on our inner self, or should we know what exactly our soul's purpose is through Akashic records and then try to decide?
Yeah. So. I think it's a little bit of both. I think that there are those that will feel very strongly that they know what their purpose is. And then there are others of us that are curious. And generally it's it's the validation. So when we more often than not with my clients, when they hear their purpose, it is an overwhelming sensation of emotion within their heart because it is the validation of trusting their voice, trusting that voice of the heart and knowing that they were right all along and that it just clicks into place. I think, so both are absolutely okay, and, um it is so important to trust the voice of the heart, to take time to listen to it, and I get what you're saying about, you know, the inner voice. It can be the inner critic, it can be the mind and the ego, or it can be accessing the voice of the heart, and in order to do that, it is needed to practice stillness, to practice silence, to be able to um, get curious about what's in there. What are those nudges telling you? What are the emotions telling you? Because every emotion that we have has a message. Um, we know from brain science that the emotions are tied to the thoughts in our mind that you may not. Well, 90% of the time, we are actually not aware of the thoughts that are going on a loop in the back of our mind, and it's causing the emotions in our body. So just getting quiet and getting curious about what those are, and then listening to the message of the heart.
Ah, great. So, Kay, also I would like to bring in the aspect of rapid reprogramming. Like you pair Akashic Record with work with the rapid reprogramming. So, can you walk us through why that combo is so effective for real transformation?
Yes. So the rapid reprogramming is a brain science practice. So it's kind of like meditation is a practice, yoga is a practice. Going to exercise, walking, writing, our journaling, our pages is a practice. And so the rapid reprogramming is a practice. It helps with the thoughts in our mind, the conditioning that we have incurred in this lifetime from parents, from our society, from the dictations in the ways that we grew up. Um, they they mold our thoughts, and when you are attempting to embrace change in your life and evolution and expansion, you're hit with a million different reasons of why you can't or why you shouldn't. And so the rapid reprogramming that I teach helps us to break those patterns of thoughts so that you feel free, so that you are able to take steps to actualize the purpose that you know you are meant for. And how that's different from the Akashic healing that I do. I start with my clients with simple Akashic reading, and we find out the soul's purpose. We find out lessons that we're here to learn and what we're here to create and do. And from there, as we continue to work together, we use the records for healing, for soul trauma, for past life. Um, I've had a client who um, we sh she had a soul fragment that was stuck in a loop in a lifetime where she was, um, lost power. She actually had a couple with this theme. Um, where she was punished for being a powerful woman and for being, I guess we can say magical, for using energetic power, and having so much wisdom and being an authority. And so there was a soul fragment that
Mm-hmm.
was stuck in, um, essentially in the death of that lifetime. And so through the Akashic Records, we were able to see that experience, to see where that soul fragment was. And with the help of her guides and my guides, we were able to retrieve and heal that. And she was able to integrate that piece of her soul that was still living out a very um, angry and frazzled and confused and angry and powerless, feeling. And so when she was able to heal and then integrate that piece of her, she then took on, a sense of power, being comfortable, standing in her own power, being a creative, energetic, mystical force. Um, and this has done wonders for her relationships, for her, self-belief, and for her business as well.
Wow. I'm glad. I'm really glad that you shared. You know. A story for this because it's really wild how even when we are handed clarity,
Mm.
we, we can still sabotage it. I mean, like we want the truth, but we don't know what to do with it, and that's where that guidance, that support comes into the picture. And that's how rightly you mentioned in the beginning of this conversation that it's kind of a balance of both. So I absolutely get that. Great, great. So, Kay, in the interest of time, I wish we could go on and on about this because this is such an interesting aspect of our existence in this universe. But if our listeners they would like to connect with you, get a hold, kind of explore how you blend Akashic healing with rapid reprogramming, like the world of scientific with the spiritual aspect, what will be the best way?
Yeah. Yes, it is kmillercoach.com.
Wonderful. I'll make sure to have the details mentioned in the show notes for our listeners to easily connect with you. Okay. And this was such an insightful, beautiful beginning to the conversation, that bridges the ancient with the intimate. And Kay, you have really shown us that purpose isn't a destination, but it's definitely a homecoming when that begins, when we pause long enough to listen. So thank you.
Thank you.
And to all the listeners out there, if you have felt stuck, misaligned, or you are unsure of your path, maybe the answer isn't to do more, but it's to remember more. Remember who you were before the noise, before the expectations, before you learned to fear your own truth. You can connect with Kay and learn more about her work in the show notes below. And if this conversation sparked something within you, share it. Soul work is never solitary. Until next time, I'm your host Sana, reminding you to live mindfully and love deeply. Thank you.